CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. Everybody, today we have the pleasure of welcoming back Niall Sullivan. He is the head of marketing for Senseye, a Siemens company. He's been on CMMS Radio before, but it's been a while. We just caught up in the recent weeks about something really cool that is happening October 21st in Birmingham at Millennium Point, and that is the Mainstream UK Summit. Niall Sullivan, welcome back to CMMS Radio, my friend.
No, it's brilliant to be back, Greg. We had a great conversation the other day about Mainstream. Look forward to talking about it again. It's going to be a fantastic event, mainly because I'll get to meet you in person. That's the highlight for me already. So there we go.
Well, not to mention all the other amazing people that are going to be there. And this is really different. So a lot of the people I've spoken to and read things about with this particular event, the first time it's being brought to the UK, very special location, very intentional, but it's all based on a report and research that is done ahead of time before they put it together. And for example, Krister Idhammer, Drew Troyer, plethora of other people will tell you literally the Mainstream community, the Mainstream conferences are the best maintenance and reliability conferences in the world. Simply because, I don't know if I should say simply, but because of how they do it with the intention. It's not to say that other conferences don't do their things and have their process for putting things together, but this one's really unique and really special. And we hooked up a week or so back because we found out that you're going to be there. So I'm curious for what you're going to be doing there. Will you guys have a booth? You'll be tabling it, and are you doing any presenting at this particular conference? And what are you most excited about when it comes to this particular conference?
All great questions. I mean, I could take a little step back actually, because it's a little bit of a longer story where because of course Mainstream have done a couple of events in Australia. And so my Australian colleagues at Siemens have already represented Siemens at the event there and gave some fantastic feedback. But we were sort of talking concurrently to the organisers about it. And by the way, fantastic feedback. I mean, I believe the Australian events are on a bigger scale, let's say, to this UK one. But the other thing is we've had a really good communication with the team and Steve Morris, the MD, CEO. I met him with a colleague of mine, Rob Russell, in one of our Siemens offices in the UK. We had a really fantastic chat, not just about the event. He wasn't selling us the event. He was actually talking about Mainstream as a community and as a following and all of the history behind it and some of the people who were acting as advisors as part of that. There's a few well known to Senseye and Siemens. So Richard Jeffers, for example, is I think on the advisory board as well. But to answer your question, it's going to be quite surprising because you think Siemens is going to be a big, massive presence there. For this year, we sort of came quite late to the game in the end for a variety of reasons that I could take over a podcast asking for, but we came quite late. So we've actually got quite a small, understated presence this year. I think we've got a short sort of demo. We're going to do a Senseye, but not just Senseye actually. So, and that's sort of the key thing. So, going back to when we were acquired, sort of 3 years ago, we were acquired as a cloud software SaaS platform. But over the past 3 years, we've sort of grown to encompass a lot more than that. Because Siemens obviously has quite a wide portfolio of predictive maintenance, both related products, but also connectivity. And that's the key. And that's been the missing piece of the jigsaw for us pre-acquisition is the connectivity and getting the data. And so what we're presenting at the event this year is not just a cloud application, but also we're bringing in experts on the connectivity side as well and telling that sort of complete story about how we can get the data from the machines, push it into the Senseye cloud, and then let Senseye do its thing and provide the the assistance it provides to maintenance teams all around the world. So yeah, so I'm not selling it very well. It's a little bit understated, but we relate to the party. We won't make that mistake next year. I'm already confident that it'll be a very successful event for us. Just because the people attending alone just seems fantastic for us.
Yeah, it's going to be. We say this about a lot of different conferences, but this one's got that unique flavor to it. They've really done it well in Australia. I've known that group now for I think it's a couple of years. And they're already full, right? They've still got room for some attendees. I know sponsors and all that. I'm pretty sure those are all full and capped. It's just going to be an interesting way to see how everyone converges. I know a bunch of people that are going there that I haven't had the chance to meet in person, so that's going to be really cool. And then when it comes to this understated presence for Siemens, I actually personally, I think that's a good thing. If you came in late and you still can add value for the people that are in attendance about how you're leveraging contextual data with Sensei, that's going to be fun, interesting, and helpful for people, because it's not about selling. It's about what can you do? What are the potentials? How can we approach maintenance and reliability together in a way that solves problems? Because I think that's really the idea behind Mainstream UK Summit and Mainstream overall, is reimagining maintenance and reliability. And they really want to focus on that community aspect, if you will. Do you have familiarity with the venue? Because there's a bit of a history around that area and Millennium Point, I think, when it comes to maybe the Industrial Revolution. And if I'm putting you on the spot, sorry about that.
No, I must admit, I haven't looked too deeply into the venue.
So there's essentially kind of like a museum right there that we'll have this opportunity to explore as well. So that's kind of what I was getting at. So I'm looking forward to that. Do you have anyone in particular that's at Mainstream UK Summit that you're interested in connecting with that you've never connected with before, or anybody that you have aside from me?
Well, I'm interested in connecting with a lot of people. I mean, there was actually, so Mainstream also organised some, I guess what you could probably call some pre-summit meetups. So like networking events, quite relaxed. So they're in pubs, which is my kind of networking event, I must admit. But my colleague Tom Jacks from the Sensei team, he's a solution engineer. But he's also worked on the plant floor for Siemens as well. So he sort of come full circle. But he attended, and to your point about being more of a community, so he wasn't there to sell or present Sensei, but very much on listening mode and sharing mode, and he's got a lot of experience to share. But he mentioned quite a few people. I mean, I'm actually looking to line up. I don't know if he's listening. Hopefully, he is. But I think it's Phil White, who's part of the part of the advisory board, who Steve's kindly and the team have kindly sort of trying to set up me to record on the Trend Detection podcast.
Yeah.
Our podcast. So I thought I'd get a plug in there at some point. But to be honest with you. Yeah, there's no one specifically I'm really keen to listen to, but I do feel this event is different. To your point, because you were saying this one feels different. I get pitched events as a head of marketing with marketing budget all the time. This event's great. This event's great. Really expensive. You need to come to this event. Everyone is at this event, and I take most of them with a pinch of salt. But for this reason, this feels different. In my gut, it feels different. After meeting Steve and Guy and others, it feels much more of a community and not just a selling thing. And they are obviously selling sponsorships and booze, but it didn't feel like that. It does feel more of a community. That's the difference with this event, I'd say.
Yeah, I feel the same, and I'll tell you, I met Guy Freebody at the Reliable Plant Conference this year. He literally flew from Australia to that event because he had people he needed to meet and talk to. Took time to come and meet me. We talked quite a bit about not just Mainstream Community, but Mainstream UK Summit. And I said, so are you here for a few days? You going to get to see anything? He's like, nope, heading back in the morning. And the intention behind that was really to kind of understand more about the community, see what's going on at some of the other conferences that a lot of people in maintenance and reliability tend to attend. I don't know if you can say tend to attend. That's kind of weird. Anyhow, and I mentioned already what Krister Idhammer said, what Drew Troyer said. Those two are going to be there. You got a really heavy lineup. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 13, 14 speakers that are scheduled. One of those is Nancy Reagan. She's going to be a keynote speaker. You already mentioned Phil White. And there's a long list, but there's a lot of intentionality behind this. So I do think it's unique. And then Steve Morris, I've spent a lot of time with him on meetings, virtually phone calls. So I'm really looking forward to connecting with him. I've known, like I said, the group for a couple of years, and I think this is going to be kind of fascinating for me because I get to see things from a slightly different perspective in an environment where I have a lot of different people from Europe and different regions of the world that we don't always get to see if we're here in North America at conferences. So that's going to be pretty cool for me. Gary Tyne's going to be there. He's an awesome fellow. Just a ton of people that are going to be great to connect with. But the intention behind the conference, behind the summit, is what's really making it unique, based on research, based on real situations and problems that people have voiced a concern for and interest in, as opposed to, hey, come and buy some stuff. So that's cool.
And actually, just to take you on your point, that's an interesting example of Guy and traveling, just for research or to meet people, traveling all that way. Because when we met Steve in Farnborough in the UK, he was in the middle of a massive trip around the UK. And I think he paid, interesting side though, he was doing it he paid for a month-long train ticket or something that could take him all around the country, around the UK. So he was traveling to all ends of the UK to meet members and people part of the community and host roundtables and stuff like that. And I just thought, wow, God blimey, you're the commitment to do that. And I just can't imagine other events, and I don't want to disparage them too, but I just don't imagine them going to that sort of on the community side. It's such a focus, and I'm not being paid to sell mainstream events.
Yeah. Same here.
Certainly not. But it does feel different. That's all I can say to people, is it does feel different. And I'm just looking forward to experiencing it and seeing what the first one in the UK is like.
I agree. So you and I are going to hook up there. There's one other thing I want to ask you about before we wrap this short, brief session is you've got a coming up fairly soon speaking engagement, and I think that is it called Maximum?
It's B2B, B2B Marketing Live. So I guess for a little bit of context, I did a talk. Time flies, like 2 or 3 months ago, a similar event in Manchester, a much smaller venue. So it was in a sort of a hotel in the centre of Manchester. And I was on a panel talking about AI and the use of AI in marketing. And I was also, and of course, my main focus was talking about how we use it in podcasting to make our not editing flow, but the general flow of producing and publishing a podcast much more fluid. But it was just shocking how little B2B marketers use podcasts in their sort of day to day. I find that amazing still. But that was then, but the one in London is focused a lot more on this transformation we went through with Sensei when I sort of took the lead strategically in marketing and sort of shifted us away from sort of more traditional marketing approaches, you might say, to more content-led demand generation, the podcast, and the success we've seen, including being acquired by Siemens. But that wasn't all down to me, or even maybe a tiny part down to me. So I'm not claiming credit, I should say. But it's quite a cool story how, and of course with the support and backing of all the the co-founders of Sensei to sort of implement it and everything. So just want to share that story at the event. So yeah, looking forward to that as well.
Well, cool. I encourage people to go and see that. I appreciate that you're so darn humble, man. And I am really looking forward to finally meeting you in real life in Birmingham. And I hope you'll have some time to sit down with me and do a little bit of podcasting, my friend.
Of course. I'll always make time for you, Greg. So again, to say, looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting you and having a face-to-face meeting in real life. I fancy that.
Absolutely. And everybody get your tickets for Mainstream UK. It's October 21, 2025. It's at Millennium Point in Birmingham. Niall Sullivan, thanks for being here with me on CMMS Radio.
Of course. Anytime. Thanks, everyone.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.